Have you ever just stood outside on a clear night, looked up, and just felt that sense of wonder? Well, today, we're going to turn that feeling into some actual knowledge. We're going to explore what's really up there, from things right in our neighborhood to stuff that's just mind-bogglingly far away. So let's get into it.
Right? It's a question people have been asking for, well, forever. You're looking at this huge canvas filled with countless points of light. Some of them shine with this really steady glow, others seem to dance and flicker. So, are they all the same thing, or are you looking at different worlds, distant suns, and maybe even entire galaxies?
And here's the best part. You don't need any expensive gear to start figuring this out. Honestly, the greatest tool you've got for exploring the cosmos is just your own curiosity. With just a little bit of guidance, you can start to read the night sky like a map. So, you ready? Let's dive in.
Okay, let's start with our closest cosmic neighbors. These are kind of the wanderers of the night sky, objects that actually move against that fixed background of stars. You've almost certainly seen them without even realizing what they were. The trick is just knowing how to tell them apart.
So, here it is, the #1 rule for telling a planet from a star. And it's surprisingly simple. Stars are so incredibly far away that their light reaches us as just a tiny single pinpoint. Our atmosphere messes with that tiny point of light, making it look like it's twinkling. But planets, they're so much closer, so they show up as tiny little disks. Their light is way more stable as it comes through the atmosphere. So, long story short, if it twinkles, it's a star. If it shines with a steady, solid glow, you're looking at a planet. Easy, right?
So, what should you actually look for? Well, Venus is usually the first star you'll see after the sun sets, and it is seriously bright. They don't call it the evening star for nothing. Mars is super easy to spot because, well, it's red. It's this distinct reddish dot. Jupiter is just this brilliant beacon in the sky. You really can't miss it. And Saturn has this more subtle, kind of beautiful golden glow to it.
You ever see one of those? A little point of light moving silently and steadily across the sky? No flashing lights, so it's not an airplane. It's not a UFO. It's one of the thousands of satellites we have orbiting Earth. And hey, if you see one that's exceptionally bright, you might be looking at the International Space Station itself, with astronauts on board right now. There are even apps that'll tell you exactly when and where to look for it. Pretty cool.
All right, so now that we've got a handle on the wanderers, let's turn our attention to that huge twinkling canvas behind them. We're talking about the stars themselves and those ancient patterns they form, the constellations.
Constellations are so much more than just a game of connect the dots. You have to think of them as humanity's very first map and its first storybook. For thousands of years, sailors navigated the oceans with them, farmers knew when to plant their crops, and entire cultures passed down their most important stories, all written right there in the stars.
So, you want to try it yourself? Start with the easiest one, for sure. Orion the Hunter. Just look for 3 bright stars in a perfect little row. That's his belt. Can't miss it. Once you find the Big Dipper, you can use its 2 pointer stars at the end of the cup to draw a straight line right to the North Star. And up in that same northern sky, look for a big W or M shape. That's Cassiopeia the Queen.
But see, not all stars are just little white dots. Once you found Orion's belt, look up to one of his shoulders. You'll probably notice one star that glows with this fiery, reddish-orange light. That is Betelgeuse. It's a red supergiant. And this is where we get our first real taste of the absolutely mind-blowing scale of the universe.
Okay, just let that sink in for a second. If you could just swap out our sun and put Betelgeuse in its place, it would swallow Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Our planet would just be inside this star. That's the kind of scale we're talking about up there.
Feeling small yet? Yeah, that's kind of the right feeling to have, because we're about to take an even bigger leap. We're going to look beyond the individual stars now, into those huge dark spaces between them, to find the real giants of the cosmos.
First up, we've got nebulae. Now, these aren't actually stars. They're the raw material that stars are made from. They are these vast, beautiful clouds of gas and dust, and inside them, gravity is slowly pulling everything together to form brand new suns and new worlds. They're literally stellar nurseries. It's where stars are born.
And here's the cool part. You can see one of the most famous ones with your own eyes. Go back to Orion's belt. Now look just below it at what looks like his sword hanging down. On a really clear, dark night, you might notice that one of the stars in that sword looks a little blurry, like a faint, fuzzy patch. You're not seeing things. You are looking at the Orion Nebula, a star factory where thousands of new stars are lighting up as we speak.
So, from cosmic nurseries, we're now going to zoom out to entire cosmic cities. Because that's really what a galaxy is, a massive system of billions, or sometimes even trillions of stars, all held together by gravity. Our own sun is just one single star in our home galaxy, the Milky Way. And now, for what might be the most incredible thing you can ever see with just your eyes. If you are ever lucky enough to be under a really dark sky, way out far from city lights, you might be able to spot this tiny, faint, fuzzy patch of light. It's really easy to mistake it for a little cloud, but it's not a cloud. What you're looking at is an entirely different galaxy, the Andromeda Galaxy. That little faint smudge of light, it's 2.5 million light years away. I mean, think about that. The light that is hitting your eyes tonight started its journey 2.5 million years ago. That's long before modern humans even walked the Earth. You are, quite literally, looking back in time.
And what is that faint patch of light? It's a galaxy that has an estimated 1 trillion stars. A trillion. That tiny, faint smudge that you can barely see holds more suns than you could ever possibly imagine. It is, without a doubt, the most profound and humbling thing you can see in the night sky.
Wow. Okay, so we've journeyed from our neighbor planets all the way to distant galaxies. So how do you take all this and actually use it? Let's put together a super simple cheat sheet you can use the next time you're outside under the stars.
It really just boils down to this. If you see a light and it twinkles, you're looking at a star. If it shines with a nice steady glow, it's a planet in our own solar system. A point of light moving silently in a straight line, that's a satellite. That faint, fuzzy patch in a really dark sky, that could be a nebula or maybe even an entire galaxy. And of course, that quick, brilliant streak of light, that's a meteor. We call them shooting stars, just a tiny piece of space dust burning up in our atmosphere. See? You've got this.
With just that little bit of knowledge, the night sky stops being just this random collection of dots. It completely transforms into a living landscape, one that's full of stories and history and just incredible depth. You've just learned the basics of how to read it. So the next time you step outside at night, just remember what you've learned. That steady light isn't just a light, it's a whole other world. That reddish dot is our neighbor, Mars. And that faint, barely visible smudge of light is a city of 1 trillion suns. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What else is out there, just waiting for us to discover?